Well, it raises the next issue, which is you have to buy into that from some origin story. That origin story is based on flat-out racism. If you really look at it, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the poorer the community, the more that community has been devastated by criminalizing drugs. And I just want to point out some of the statistics about the ACLU. And you can't really have a conversation about legalizing marijuana unless you recognize that its initial policy of making it a Schedule I was designed to go after blacks, Vietnam protesters, Jewish psychologists, you know, the anti-war movement. And that was the thing of their political opponents. So when we look at what Michigan was doing, according to the ACLU, times more likely that blacks are arrested as of 2001 in Michigan was 1.3. Times more likely that blacks will be arrested in 2010 rose to 3.3. The percent of change in racial disparity over that period of time was 149.3% increase that an African American would be arrested for marijuana. As it went forward, the 14.3% is the black population in Michigan, to which 36.9 is the number of blacks that are arrested. A difference of 22.5%. In other words, twice as many arrests for blacks as, despite the fact that they make up half of that portion of the population.
Yeah, I agree. And again, Michael, it's also anybody who is in the so-called lower class. You know, even like white people.
I agree. And this is also it's financially driven. You know, it's like you know.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I was a member of the Detroit Athletic Club for 22 years, and you know, a lot of these guys, I mean, smoke weed. Okay, but when you talk with them, they don't want it legal. You see, because of course nothing's going to happen to them, and at the same time, the idea is we don't want these lowlifes smoking weed or doing this and doing that and getting out of control and having crime and messing up my front lawn. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of the mentality, you know, that was expressed. It's a class thing to some degree.
You know, there's a good argument that all the violence and class development stuff was a result of the war on drugs. We could make that argument, right?
Yeah.
Gangs and things like that came out of, you know, neighborhoods that had been devastated by lacking in families, lacking support, lacking, you know, community support, you know, not goes. I mean, whatever's going to be, the gun violence is related to the war on drugs. I mean, it was, you know, you see the devastation of these things. It's unfair to begin that conversation with, like, you know, stop, you know, the shit that's been created from getting any worse. You know what I mean? When it's these laws that brought it about. To me, it's the biggest divide of our political, you know, of our country politically, the divided, you know, because unless you realize the waste of money, the impact it's have on, you know, the economy for people not being able to work because of convictions, the devastation it's had on families not being, you know, I just think it's, it's got a fundamental unfairness. The way
I would even take it to the point where I could call it evil.
Yeah.
I would be willing to use that term. It's profoundly evil.
I agree. I mean, when you know that it came back to Nixon, it's like, you know, especially after the Schaefer report, he's like, didn't you get the memo?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's not going to hurt anybody. Right. We want to hurt these people.
That's right.
They're our opponents. We got a chance to fry them.
That's right.
So for the carnage for the last 40, 50 years, based on a lie, the way they ripped apart black and brown families in inner cities, you know, and they want to cry, you know, they're going to, you know what I mean? And the whole thing, you know, they're going to get it, and it's associated with all this. It's because of prohibition, right, isn't it?
Yep.
If they let you get it and have it, you know, imagine if it's legal. Imagine if it's been legal all these years. Who cares? What would have happened? You know what I mean? Like, you think it would have been any worse than the devastation of the shit that's been from ripping these people out of family, the poor, the people not working, whatever shit they were going to say, right? The lack of, you know, whatever's been ripped out of those communities, sent to prison, and, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, let me throw out something, because there are some Democrats, some so-called liberals, that don't want marijuana legal.
Yep.
And where that's coming from, and Hillary Clinton is one of them. Yeah. And it's called the progressive movement. Way back when, the progressive movement was actually, along with churches, was responsible for alcohol prohibition. And the reason that was done is because these working stiffs, these lower class, people that aren't as smart as we are, we need to take away that demon rum. We can't have them smoking marijuana because their consciousness is just not going to be there. They're not going to be as ambitious. They're not going to work hard. They're not going to better themselves. They're not going to be making this world a paradise on earth.
Teetotalers. Like the original teetotalers, like in American history, like, the...
Yeah. But that is a mentality. That is a mentality that permeates, especially on some people on the left that I've seen. And heard. I mean, believe me, there are Democrats that don't like it. It's a minority, but
I would agree with you, especially in this regard. We saw that the Democratic Party, 13th and 14th District, is led by old school drug warriors. Retired sergeant, sheriff, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. They are not pro-marijuana. No. They made their careers against it, right?
Sander Levin is a prime example.
Yes.
Well, exactly. And I think it's because people just have a short memory, and we forget. I mean, even if we look 10 years back, the Democratic Party was not for the legalization of marijuana in any way, shape, or form.
And Sandy Levin has never backed down for that.
Let's not kid ourselves. The Clinton administration created 3 strikes and you're out.
Horrible.
Punished people, sent them away for life for like a, C-level felony because it just destroyed the overload of the system, and it was really racist.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the sell that they had to the, and we're still suffering from it. They've been the safe part. Like I would agree, the Democrats were never prison reform.
No.
Until recently, there's never a. That's I don't know. That's
they're a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys.
Yeah, I am absolutely convinced that if Hillary Clinton had come out for legalization of marijuana, she would have won that election.
Yeah, she would have, for sure.
That would have been the tipping point. And younger people might, I'll take a second look at that. But no, it's all the same tired platitudes, nothing, unique, nothing.
You know what? Now I have something to say to her face if I ever see her. It's a good thing to say. Couldn't have gone for legalization, huh? Look what we got instead. Good one. Good one. Just one little.
Thanks for that.
Deb's over there biting her lip. I'm sorry. I've
actually spoke with her several times, so yeah.
Did she concede the stupidity?
I spoke to her about legalization several times too, and like Tim says, they dance around it. They just dance around.
Well, Debbie Stabenow was another one.
Debbie Stabenow was always so against it, and then
now
she issued that statement. She issued a statement.
I want to see her in the confessional. Yeah, exactly. I am not letting her off. I want to hear what she's. You're not going to hear how she got here.
She could be in trouble. I have seen more of her opponent's signs than I've seen anything to do with her all over the place.
Nothing for them.
Seriously.
Yeah. The lineup this year on both sides is lackluster. I think Dana is really the.
That's just it. That's just it. In this era, when all these folks could have been so much, champion a cause, really like put their neck out there, embrace this. They're all a bunch of politicians.
Well, they always say, we have bigger fish to fry. That's not really our thing, blah, blah, blah. That's what we heard from Sandy Levin, from Sandy Levin for many, many, many years, from the head of the Michigan Democratic Party for years and years and years. Don't you have bigger fish to fry, Deborah? Yep. Shouldn't you be working on something that really means something?
Yeah.
Well, one of the most cynical comments that I heard from a Democrat. Now, this was a long time ago. His name is Mark Brewer.
Yeah.
We're buddies. We have lunch from time to time. We have practically nothing in common, except we like to talk politics. But back after medical marijuana passed in Detroit in 2004, I met him. I talked with him. I said, well, what do you think, Mark, about this medical? He says, no, we can't deal with it. We can't touch that because we don't want to alienate law enforcement. That's exactly what that man told me. That was an exact quote. Now, this is years ago, but that was the position. They didn't want to medical, whatever.
Again, showing the awesomeness of the police. I mean, if they are,
I do have to throw in a disclaimer. Mark Brewer did represent us in Oak Park case.
He did.
And he represented us well, and we won against the city, and our ballot proposal appeared on the ballot as was written.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that he may not be in favor or to be a good lawyer. I'm saying that the political climate.
Well, this is years ago.
This was many years ago.
This is years ago that he made that statement.
I know he's changed his attitude. He's come to several legalized fundraisers. I know.
And if you asked a question by Debbie Stabenow, why, or Sandra Levis, because of that. that they know they're going to lose the police vote. Like if there's a Democrat, Democrat want to vote for police officers, the Democrat police officers.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Stabenow, but I can tell you, my grandparents, when they were still alive, were very good friends with Sandy Levin, and he was anti-marijuana to his core, as my grandparents were.
His wife passed away from cancer, and he was not even accepting of medical treatment for cancer patients.
Yeah.
And I know that she had to have had a horrible time at the end, and he was not even accepting of that. Usually that'll turn somebody when somebody.
Well, legend has it that some members of the Levin family or one or other had drug or alcohol problems. And that's oftentimes the source. That's another thing why Debbie Dingo was always so hostile about it. And she's finally come around because her dad, I guess, was a flaming, alcoholic and drug addict.
And what does that have to do with cannabis? This is what what does that have to do with cannabis?
It's emotional. It's an emotional thing in their head about it.
So punish the entire population because your father was ill?
Yeah, right. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
What to say?
All right. I think...
is it the time?
Time.
Any final words? I feel we didn't really keep it on track as much. We covered some good stuff, Tim.
We did, yeah.
I want to kind of talk about the markets. I feel like there's such a thing going on because we got all these, we got up on that point, like what, how should people feel going forward? Should people feel good? Because we got legalization going to happen. You grow plants. You got medical, still 72, and patients, and you got these dispensaries now. Is it going to be? There's going to be a lot of marijuana. Caregivers and patients is going to have an existence. There's going to be some, levity on their ability to operate and maybe can make a little something on the side, or is this drive with the licensing going to shut everybody down? Let's finish on that as a topic. It's always a good one.
No, I think I think the pie is going to be so big when legalization passes. There will be enough money, for everybody, and you're going to have people coming from Michigan, from Ohio and Indiana, and on and on and on, and there's going to be recreational users that just don't want to pay and go to they're going to find it on the illegal market. There's also going to be other people that are going to patronize dispensaries. Not every person that uses marijuana is some indigent hippie, okay? There's a lot of very affluent people that will go to a dispensary even though it's more money. They'd rather pay for the convenience. There's enough money in all for everybody.
I agree. Even if you take the numbers, you got 300,000 patients, 50,000 caregivers, and they just go back to their caregivers.
Yeah.
You got another 7 million people, 6 million people in Michigan. Some have money, some don't. They're going to enjoy buying an ounce here and getting.
I don't know, man. Have you been to some of these dispensaries?
Listen, I'm just
lines out the door.
The door. Yeah. Seriously, you wait, half hour to even get in.
Yeah, and keep in mind,
but the prices are
exorbitant. Yeah.
Keep in mind,
they're not even close to what they're going to be.
No, of course.
And it's still coming to their homegrown.
I'm telling you, this new generation, they don't like.
They don't care?
No, it's not that they don't care. It's that when you get a caregiver, there's a relationship that is built between you and that caregiver.
Nobody wants
They would much rather just walk into the store,
in person,
be like, I want that weed right there, and walk out and never have to deal with that person on a personal
there's
level.
a big draw for that for the adult recreational market, men, women, all ages, and even more so in the elderly population. I think, in terms of...
I want to throw out a very important statistic I think is extremely significant. That is, study after study after study indicates that roughly 12% of the population uses marijuana, on some sort of regular or irregular basis. Now, we got, about roughly 280 to 300,000 caregivers. Michigan has a population of 10 million people. Whoa, you're just scraping the surface. There is demand out there. I'm convinced of that.
And talking about supply and demand for medical cannabis, tonight's episode of Planet Green Trees is brought to you by the People's Choice of Ann Arbor. At People's Choice, membership is free. All medicine is lab tested to provide patients with meds free of any contaminants. People's Choice also provides convenient online ordering for patients. It is not a certification center and does not have physicians on staff, but can assist you in pointing you in the right direction to obtain your medical marijuana card. Stop by in person or visit our website for more information. People's Choice Provisioning Center is located at 2247 West Liberty Street in Ann Arbor, or call 734-369-8573. Hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., or Sunday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you can visit them on the web at peopleschoiceofannarbor.com. Again, of AnnArbor.com. Ann Arbor's premier provisioning center.
And anyone that wants to hire